Popular Celebrities podcast is all unofficial. None of the conversations or comments from us or guests represent DoD or the armed forces.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We are tonight's entertainment.
Anything that comes.
You got Dell up there in his graduate picture.
Hello, team. I see you talking already.
Because you, again, this intro, you got me in next to a body bag. That's why.
You're not next to a body bag.
With some water on it. Like you pulled me out the river or something.
Oh, Lord. I'm going to have to go look at it now.
No,
Pete,
just
you're
yours
supposed to
look
let
good.
us look at it
Yours
before
look
you
good.
be publishing stuff.
Mm-hmm.
This
Yours
has been
looks
the
good,
intro
though.
for the past year. It feels like
No,
Yeah,
not the
100.
body bag one. Not the body
not
bag
even
one.
a body bag.
And he got Dell up there with the graduate picture like this.
Billy said he
good.
don't like that, but
Who, Dale didn't like it?
nah, Dale didn't like it.
Oh, my goodness.
He said, "I'm gonna give you some updated photos." That's crazy. Good morning. Good morning to
Good
y'all.
morning.
This is how we walk into 2025 every day on UPC. Jess, it has been a while.
Hello.
How are you?
Yes, I'm doing good. How y'all doing? I just miss y'all.
I miss you too. Hey, it was your son's birthday yesterday?
Yes, I have a 16-year-old now with his little dusty self. But
Is
yeah, he's
Wow.
at practice
Driver?
now. So you know what? I still have my truck, but I ended up going to buy a car. So I ended up buying a Cadillac CT5. And he's like, Mom, no, it's not going to be your car, but I'm going to allow him to start driving it because I don't know what the hype is with teenagers. He want a Kia K5. I'm like, first of all, the tradition for family members was a Honda Civic pimping. So look, I buy vehicles for them because I know Hondas are reliable. You know, you can hear a Honda crank up from 10 years ago. It's still going to sound the same way. So he's just trying to convince me to buy him a Kia K5 or now because the Cadillac, I got it for a really good deal from CarMax, 2023.
Okay.
He was like, this brand new. You gonna put some tin on it and put some rims on it? Sir, this is not yours. I need a backup car. But yeah, I'm teaching them how to drive. Cause you know, here in Georgia, he's going to get it in Alabama, but in Georgia, you can get your permit, but you still have to wait a whole year before you can get your license, because they also have to take I want to say it's Joshua's law. They have to take a class before they can actually get their driver's license.
Like in high school or like a driver's ed or something?
Yeah, because they had an incident that occurred with a kid, I want to say dealing with social media, well, not really social media, but texting and driving. But they really want kids and parents to take ownership, before you get that license to drive by yourself.
Oh, well, that's
but my
cool.
daughter, he drives my daughter's car every now and then. But yeah, he's doing pretty good. He obviously he's on that Team Huncho, which is sponsored by Quavo. And no, Pete, before you get there, I was not trying to shoot my shot at no Quavo. But he does enjoy the 7-on-7 because it's a traveling football league. But it keeps him and they actually help with the branding and getting him more sponsorships. But yeah.
Oh, that's what's up. That's what's up. Dang, that's really cool. Is it flag football or tackle football?
It's tackle football because
okay.
That's what well, last year in May is when he had his surgery because he tore his labrum, so he was kind of deflated when he couldn't really give his all this season. But now, like, I'm gonna have to send y'all some highlights. Oh boy, be cutting because they have two teams, so they have he made the 15-year team and he made the 18-year team. But Ty Scroney, like, so they be picking him up and like. Ty be like, Mom, I need this protein. So he's taking some growth protein to help him grow. He actually is. I told Tony, I said, he's going to be taller than you sooner or later. But yeah.
So, man, 7-on-7 tackle. That seems, I never seen that before. So yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I'll send you the links on Instagram.
Yeah, that's cool. That's what's up. Billy, what's up with you?
Before I get started, quick intro. So welcome to everyone and our viewers on YouTube. You have our Unpopular Celebrities podcast co-hosted by myself, Philly DC, my co-host Pete, and the beautiful and intelligent Jess,
Why she
aka Jess Player.
Why is it
because you're just the engineer guy.
Beautiful, intelligent. I get the beautiful, intelligent, immaculate, lovely.
I'm sorry.
Yes,
don't do that. Don't do that, Pete. He may be speaking to my future husband.
That's right.
Don't do that.
Yes.
Don't do that.
Well, thank you for everyone for tuning in, especially our viewers on our YouTube. I see there's a couple of people watching on YouTube, so go ahead and hit the like, share, subscribe button. We're at 231 subscribers. If you're not subscribing today, what are you waiting for? Go ahead and subscribe, and we welcome everyone here to our podcast. We talk about anything and everything. So as far as me, yes, I am. This will be my last weekend in the man cave because Wendy and I are taking our talents to Cibolo, Texas, because we're moving
30 minutes up the road.
30 minutes up the road. Time to get ready for transition. So I am not looking forward to moving all this stuff, but it's going to happen. Lord willing, it's going to happen. So that's probably the biggest thing going on with me, though.
I told you, just pay somebody.
Congratulations.
Anyway, thank you.
Just pay somebody. Pay for
all those who are listening out there. If you want to come and help me move this stuff, hit me in the DMs. I see my address, but I got to sign you on base if you don't have access. So if you want to go help. Yeah.
So what the lunch option is going to look like? I'm just saying, so.
McDonald's?
Oh, yeah. Honey bun and Charlie T's at the Base Exchange.
See? Just
you could at least got pizza like we do the regular movers. God,
that's expensive. DiGiorno's. DiGiorno's. Yeah.
Okay.
DiGiorno. The oven-baked pizza.
I know, right? Like, why I can't get like you could have just got the Little Caesars hot and ready. Don't do that.
Right.
Right. Little Caesars.
The hot and ready.
Don't do that.
Hidden.
No, I don't like Little Caesars.
Yeah.
I'm not like I wouldn't just order it, but if I need something real quick, them hot readies. Hey, for them errands.
Yeah, that's true.
Quick, right? Here you go. Get right back on it. Lots to talk about today. Whoa, let me hit this. Billy, we can get into your topics first because I was researching them off jump.
Okay. So I think it was last week. We had 2025 started off at an interesting clip. We had the day of the Sugar Bowl, we had an incident that happened in New Orleans where we had a truck smash into a bunch of folks, unfortunately, down there in New Orleans right before the Sugar Bowl. Quite a few folks were injured and killed due to the attack. Then the same day, we had a Cybertruck pull outside in front of Donald Trump Towers in Vegas. And then apparently the driver was a former Special Forces Army soldier. So he drove in front of the tower, then did another loop back around, and then he detonated the Cybertruck in front of Trump Towers. And so this individual killed himself first, and then the truck set itself off. Let's see, Thomas White.
Pete.
Well, I always get the smoke.
Well deserved. Well deserved. So going quickly back to the incident in New Orleans. Apparently this truck had an ISIS flag on it as well. I missed that part. Had an ISIS flag on it. And then the truck that's in front of the Trump Towers in Las Vegas, again, it was a former Army soldier who was highly decorated, had like 5 bronze stars and 1 for valor. So one thing that's interesting, the Cybertruck, unfortunately, on a crazy note, any other vehicle would have been obliterated. But the Cybertruck, seeing the pictures, was pretty much almost intact.
Mm-hmm.
And then number 2, both incidents happened on the same day, which was strange, which sparked off a couple of other events. If you've noticed, there's quite a few U.S. installations, military installations that are suspending trusted traveler because of that too, or related to that.
Hey, so
y'all thoughts?
About the Cybertruck, it says this Levensberg is his name, is active duty.
Yes, he was still active duty. He was on leave.
Good catch.
Yeah, he was on leave from Germany, and he rented this Cybertruck on Toro with another member. I guess they found that in the background or whatever, but yeah, that's active duty cat. But yeah, he is a Green Beret.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think it also says that he had a gunshot wound or something.
Yeah, I think he shot himself.
Right. Yeah. Damn, that's pretty crazy. So do you think these things are related?
I don't know if they're related, but it's quite concerning right before the new administration takes the office. It makes me wonder, will there be more? And then if you know, there are certain entities across the world that are not a fan of President Trump taking office, one in particular, Iran. So it makes me wonder if Iran is connected to this. Now, I haven't seen or heard anything from any media outlets that say that Iran is connected. I know they're still going through the investigation, but that does concern me. The thing in New Orleans even more is because it seems like these events where you have a mass gathering of folks, I mean, one, you want people to be able to enjoy their time. I mean, it's the Sugar Bowl, it's New Orleans, everyone's out there trying to have a great time. But then you see this truck come out of nowhere and just start ramming into people. It just makes you wonder, man. Like, I don't know about you, but I already have problems being around mass gatherings and crowds too. But just to be out there with your family and something like that happen, and then to find out those who weren't injured, you found this truck had a flag of ISIS on it. I mean, it makes you wonder.
I don't think that they were related. I think ideologies for both may have been different. The one that really bothered me is when I went back and looked at the videos about him, like just pushing the coolers to various locations in New Orleans. So, earlier before he did that, he had those devices and coolers and he just staged them there. And, if you've ever been to Bourbon Street, sometimes like you'll see that, because there's so many people on Bourbon Street. You have kids sometimes out there playing instruments with water bottles, but for no one to notice that. And then, maybe us being military background, we're so ingrained with ORM, like operational risk management. Is that still an acronym, Pete?
Yes, ma'am.
I'm just playing. But Yeah, it just really bothered me that what really bothered me the most was that both of them were military people. And you know, we are so quick. Like, I'm just still learning about the various states and their gun laws. My biggest concern, especially with having a background academically with mental health, when we as veterans get out or retire or separate, whatever you have it, and we're so quick to say PTSD, but you still allow these individuals to get a weapon. And again, each state has different checks. It really bothered me because it's like, what are we building? Like, yeah, we want to build and say, hey, people that serve are of good character. Obviously, we are learning, and we've always known a lot of people do serve and they're not of good character. And these two individuals, you know, it kind of messes up, especially the one that was still on active duty, his legacy, because it leaves so many, you know, anytime someone commits suicide, it always leaves so many unanswered questions from family, colleagues. But what did they truly embody? So that's my biggest thing. It's like, did you always embody a certain level of hate towards certain things? Because the one in New Orleans, obviously, that was terroristic behavior. But then when you think about the one from Colorado, it makes me think it was more of a democracy or a political move. It's like, where were you unhappy?
I'm just kind
That's a
of
great point.
researching some stuff about this, but I think like what you're saying, the political aspect, because it being in front of the Trump Towers, I think it was Trump something building
Trump
hotel.
Hotel.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of unique. And then of course Tesla being tied in with Elon Musk being tied on with Trump. Maybe I'm just a conspiracy theorist. I don't know, but it seems like those will all be connected. The New Orleans thing, my interesting thing is, don't forget the Super Bowl this year is in New Orleans in a month. I think it's next month in February.
Yeah, February.
Yeah, so I imagine security is going to be, and you would think, this is my thought process, you would think with the Sugar Bowl, I mean, this is during the Sugar Bowl, which is a big event, you would think security would be on their utmost already. But stuff like this still happens. So it's like, is there a lack of security maybe?
I don't think the measure, you know, I don't think they extended themselves from a security perspective as far as they should have. And even when you think about, you said like Super Bowl is getting ready to come up, it does make me think about all other events, you know, that are coming up. But the thing that we fail to realize is that rental car service that was utilized is the same for both Turo. So it's fairly new, I guess, where individuals are allowed to rent out their vehicles to people. But now it's like, are they not allowed to promote their business anymore because of these incidents and how they were utilized?
Right, 100%.
Hey, Faith.
A lot of people, I think, are using Toro more often for the price. It's a lot cheaper, and then you don't have to get a new car. You can just get a car, especially if you just want one for a little bit. I personally have never used Toro. I've looked at it a couple times, but I just feel like it's too much hassle trying to go through an individual person. Something about the convenience of going through a company, I don't know, just gives me some peace of mind. I don't know. DC, you ever used Toro before?
I thought about it. I have actually an old troop that deals with that type of service, and I think it was something where I was about to rent it, and he was just like, "Oh, just go to the airport parking lot. The keys is in some random, some key in the parking lot or something." And I'm like, "Something don't seem right about that." I said, "Nah, I'd rather just go with something I'm familiar with." So
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. But two crazy things that just happened. I don't know. Hopefully they get somewhat security under control for the Super Bowl coming up and any other events that's going on in New Orleans. Because back to Billy's point, I like to participate in big events like this, but it's just that, oh, Faith, thanks for the stars. 100 the stars from Faith Donovan here with oh yeah? Or wait, oh yeah! All right. But thank you for the stars. But yeah, just big events. I'm already skeptical about big events. So when I see things like this, it just makes my skepticism higher and higher. Like, I don't even want to go to concerts anymore. I'll go, but there's a hesitancy at the beginning, like, is this the right concert for me? Like Gorilla coming out here, I think this month. I think she's coming out here. Right. I want to go. First of all, I feel weird being a dude up there singing her songs.
I don't care what nobody say. Gorilla goes hard. You hear
She
me?
go hard. Just
She be on repeat.
I'm a big fan. And you know what? For the holiday party, went out to the club afterwards. I ain't been to a club in for ages. We went to the club. They said, like, get him, go. I was like, oh man, I gotta watch this. I gotta watch this.
Look, my kids get told. They be like, "Mom, stop." I be like, "Let her cook."
Yeah. 2 C's. Thanks for the 99 stars. Appreciate it.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, so I don't know if y'all are more skeptical about going out places. Jess, you still don't mind going out in big public gatherings like that, or?
I don't, but like, you know, even being on this side, my head is still on a swivel. You know how we go into places like I don't like sitting with my back to places, or like my hangout spot here is like Smoky Bones. Like I'll go up there, sit at a bar and look at the games because again, I be people watching too. Because again, being in Georgia, I see that some people walk around with their weapons. And at first my kids definitely weren't, they were very concerned. They were like, you see that he got his pants? And yeah, I'm like, one little dude pants was so tight. I'm like, how you even got that weapon on you right? Like the weapon was almost bigger than him. But no, you know what bothers me? It's not even big gatherings. It's like, to be honest, you really can't go anywhere. You can't go to school. You can't go to church. You can't go to movies. It's like every part of innocence is being robbed from us to actually learn to try to enjoy life. So it's like, there's always a fear. And like I woke up to something on Instagram and it was about one of the victims, and it's so sad. I guess her parents had, were looking for her and told her don't go out, but I guess she snuck out and went with her cousin and her friend, and she ended up being a victim. And I'm like, man, that got to be a hard, situation for her family to find out, that's where my daughter was and she's no longer with us now. So it just makes you think, life is obviously short, but it is so precious at the same time.
Yeah,
Definitely.
Yeah, I don't know. I think for me, I mean, I agree, but I think for security, to your point, Pete, I mean, I think security was, at least from my standpoint, was the typical type of security. I mean, you figure there have been incidents all across the country in the past couple of years where security was considered, in some cases, adequate. And then, like, that's the beauty of our country. We have so many freedoms, and because of the freedoms that we have, it's hard to catch all of the actors when they have bad intentions for folks. Like this incident in New Orleans, from what I'm reading here, is this individual jumped a couple of barricades, went around a couple of blockades and things of that nature, and was able to still get to the crowd. So I think there are measures put out there, but it's hard to catch everything. And I hate to be one of those billboard posters, when they say, when you see something, say something. Somebody must have seen this vehicle jump the barrier. And maybe they did. They just say, hey, that's kind of weird. But how many times do you see folks see something unusual and they don't say something, or they just pull out their phone and they record it or something? Mm-hmm. So this is not a dig on anybody. This is just, to me, this is reality. There are some folks, I think it's incumbent upon everyone to be a little bit aware of what's going on around them. And so for this vehicle to be able to jump a couple of barricades and still hit the crowd the way he did, it's concerning. And then the last thing I'll say is unfortunately, these two incidents that involved military members, one who was on active duty, there is a perception of folks who never wore the uniform that anything a military member does is related to PTSD. Mm-hmm. And what concerns me is I won't mention names, but there are some folks, and I've talked to my therapist about it too, there are some folks that kind of use, and I dare say this, I'm just going to be honest, they'll use PTSD as a crutch in some ways. Like there's one individual I know, I won't mention where she works at, but she has a habit of saying things and doing things to people. And she'll always say, my PTSD. And so the way I think about it is like, PTSD can be crippling to some people. It affects people in different ways. But I feel like PTSD should not be an excuse for you to treat people like crap. It shouldn't be. At some point, as a supervisor, if no one in the office or in your workplace knows unless they understands if you have PTSD. And when you tell people you have PTSD before you're about to do something, sometimes it makes me wonder, one, are you using that as a reason to be able to act out against people? Or two, even if you do have PTSD, again, why does it give you the impression or the reason to feel like you can act a certain way in the office place?
I say that. So I'm with you on that because it's a lot of us that do have PTSD. However, it is based off of true traumatic experiences. But I do think with the help of therapy, you're supposed to be able to coach yourself through with your counselor to learn what accountability is. There is nothing that robs you of having self-control just because you have PTSD. And a lot of people, like you said, if you got to give a disclaimer for your behavior, that's already a problem because you're not looking internally, reflecting on, you know what, how can I best handle this situation? But two, I'm a overthinker. So like before I let something slip out of my mouth, already in my head, I'm picturing the third and second order effects of, well, Jessica, you know how this person is, so that you make sure position your message in the right way so that they can receive it, not necessarily with love, but like, I need you to understand where I'm coming from when I give this information to you. It's not to criticize you, but I do think there's a better way for you to approach your disdainment about a situation or a person without being rude or disrespectful.
Right.
You know, it's crazy. Not only do people use a disclaimer, but I think people actually, some people I've came across actually mock it like, oh, it's my PTSD. Like almost like it's funny, yet giving you a reason to get out of it. It's like, it's not supposed to be a funny thing. If it's a real thing, like I would like to know about it so I could be conscious about it, especially if I deal with you on a day-to-day basis. But at the same token, don't make it like it's a joke or a mockery out of it, because then I'm not going to take it serious. Now I'm thinking that you're using it as like a scapegoat, like get out of jail free card or something.
Right.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
I mean, like I was saying about these military members, like sometimes folks who has never wore the uniform, you know, they get this idea like if a military member does something, they know they're military, oh, it's PTSD. Not everyone doesn't have PTSD, and some people have PTSD at different levels of degrees. But it's like, oh, well, they're acting this way. This might be PTSD. No, they might be simply just an asshole. That's all. Simply, you know. But then there are some people who actually has some issues with PTSD, and if you understand it, then you can kind of understand why they're acting a certain way in different situations. So that's what concerns me about it, man.
Yeah.
With the one from New Orleans, you could even go back. I think the news show where he was doing YouTube videos when he was in real estate. The guy was actually, I guess, very smart, but it's like, even for you went great lengths. I think they even reported that he thought about killing his own family before he went out to do that. But I'm like, out of all places you drive from Texas to Louisiana to destroy other people's lives. And like, I hate to say it, on this side, it is so many resources for veterans. So like for you to say like resources are not available for veterans who may be, you know, self-harm or in that area where they want to harm others, it is available. It's whether or not you want to get it.
Right.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy. Yeah, anything else to add from the explosions?
No, unfortunate.
On a brighter note, I think it was yesterday, maybe earlier, maybe the second, President Biden awarded 19 people I'm gonna make sure I get this right, the Presidential Medal of Freedom to 19 on the 4th to 19 people. A couple of those people, you know, more well known, Hillary Clinton, Michael J. Fox, and then Irvin Magic Johnson, also Ralph Lauren, Leonardo Messi, and Denzel Washington.
Hey.
Also all got, the Presidential Medal of Freedom. I stuck with that. I guess you know what the reason for this is supposed to be the contributions that civilians have to prosperity, values, and security of the United States. Not sure how some of these people fit in that, but okay.
I agree. I agree.
I agree. About Michael J. Fox, I'm like, how does he fit
I mean,
that?
he's a accomplished actor, won many awards as an actor, but I don't understand. I mean, I know he's battling with Parkinson's disease. He's been an advocate for that, so I can see that one. But Bono, I mean, I guess because he was the one that helped create it. He's like a rock star for YouTube. For YouTube, I said YouTube. Yeah, rock band YouTube. Yeah.
So we know, Pete. Do you have an iPhone? Some years ago, YouTube actually was downloaded on a lot of people's iPhones music. Right. So I'm like,
that. Yeah.
Well, we know you didn't listen to it.
Don't worry about it. I see you.
I was like, oh my goodness, please don't. He don't know who.
He had AIDS, or he's battling against AIDS.
No, he helped to create the United States pre-far AIDS program. He's a co-founder of the One in Red. Yeah.
Okay.
I guess for me, like, I get Hillary Clinton.
Right.
Understand perfectly.
Even Denzel.
I can get Denzel, Michael J. Fox. I can see Bono. Magic Johnson. I love Magic Johnson. He's a good dude. Don't get me wrong. I know he's an entrepreneur, philanthropist, and all that stuff. The Magic Johnson Foundation. Maybe.
Right, exactly. What else needs to be said? The Magic Johnson Foundation.
You know what I'm saying?
The one who put movie theaters in the
Ralph
hood.
Lauren, who I love Polo. Don't get me wrong. I love Polo. I love Ralph Lauren. But I'm like, Ralph Lauren? Wasn't there some controversy behind Ralph Lauren?
Well, we just lost our Polo sponsorship for the rest of the show.
I still love Polo. I'm just saying. I just, you know, the thing, I guess what I'll say is there are a lot of folks I feel, if we're going to do this, one, do they have to be famous? Two, it's reading the criteria just briefly. It says something about individuals who've made exemplary contributions to the prosperity, values, and security of the United States, world peace, and other significant societal, public, and private endeavors. I would gather to say there are a lot of folks out there who meet this criteria who's not as well known as these folks, I think. And I just wonder, like, what is the criteria? Is it because they are famous and they have a lot of money that can kind of contribute to some of these organizations, or in politics? I just wonder.
I also missed Bill Nye, the science guy, if y'all remember him.
You will not do him like that. Yes, I do. On CBS.
Yeah, Bill Nye, the
Carrot
science
Top
guy
too.
Also. Carrot Top.
I'm just playing. You know Carrot Top is not going to get there. I'm just saying I remember Carrot Top too.
Okay. I was like, whoa. I don't know what you think about the Presidential Medal of Freedom and the people who got awarded.
Like you said, it was for different things. I don't think it had to be encompassing of all of those things. From Magic Johnson, though, maybe it's just growing up and understanding. I'm like, he's the longest living person I know with AIDS.
The longest living.
So there are some things, you know, I'm not going to go into conspiracy theories mode, but yeah, it just makes me wonder. Yes, I agree with Hillary Clinton. I agree with Denzel Washington, but even just watching Denzel Washington, he is such a teacher outside of acting. Like when you take a step back and see how him and his wife model the behaviors, you know, for their own family, but what he does for America in society is so influential.
Right. I think with Magic even putting the nice movie theaters in the hood, just to say that they have a safe place to go watch movies and stuff like that in the Magic Johnson theaters, usually in the hood areas. He wanted to bring nice theaters. I think that was a big gesture. That was way back in maybe the early 2000s, maybe even the 90s that he started that. So that was huge. But I will say, I don't think Magic has AIDS anymore. HIV, AIDS, whatever he was diagnosed with, I really don't think I think they gave him the cure. He has the cure, but they can't make it public because that would start a mass hysteria. But
it won't start no mass hysteria. It's gonna mess up money. So when you start looking at insurance companies and then all these pharmaceutical companies and industries, it's all about money. I will always go back to my experience in Japan. Japan has the best healthcare measures in place. When you are allowed to go to the doctor twice a year to one location and you get everything checked from head to toe. Unlike America, I gotta take my grandma to the podiatrist. You gotta go to the optometry. Like everything is so, and it doesn't connect. There's connect. So I'm just like, we try our best to always go tell everybody else what to do. But when are we gonna be in receive mode and figure out, hey, this works very great for them? Can we figure out if that can be implemented here for us? That's all I'm asking. Because when you look at older people, like it kills me to know that my grandparents have worked so hard, and then you talking about taking away Social Security by the time, we're getting there. These are important features that a lot of people negate right now because they're not taking advantage of it. But baby, we all gonna get old and dusty before you get back down in the ground. So what is your livelihood gonna look like? You need to start making that come into focus right now, not when you get there, because that's gonna be too late.
Right, 100%. And, there must be something proven to the fact that Japanese men and women live a lot longer than American men and women. And they, being out there, you see people and look like they're 70s and 80s that look like they're in their 50s or 40s out there working like an 8-hour job in their 70s. Like, it's pretty crazy. But definitely.
And they take naps during the day. We need that here too.
You about them naps. I'm not a big napper
Sure
at all.
is.
I don't think when I nap.
Crazy.
I know you are. You old. But I know when you nap. You nap because you old.
Dang.
I don't know why.
I know. Like when I nap, I have to be like exhausted. I probably need a nap like 4 days ago and didn't take it. So now my body's like, bruh, it's a wrap for you. But I'm not.
No, baby, that nap be like we about to power up like a Power Ranger. You feel me?
Not recharging your battery. It might be Universal Soldiers. Like when they get power back up, they gotta go to sleep. Come back refreshed.
I schedule naps, bro. I'm famous for taking a nap, get up, and I might take another nap. I might double up, take another nap.
Okay, how long is y'all naps? Is your naps like an hour?
I got
3 hours.
Yeah.
Wait, which one?
Maybe an hour and a half.
Yeah.
No more than an hour and a half.
Okay. I might just, sometimes I might just go full send. Just I'll wake up, see it's about 90 minutes to 2 hours. I might just lay back down again. I don't get up till I feel better. Shoot.
That's crazy. I think anything over 20 minutes is sleep. You ain't napping, you sleep.
Hey, but I do want to add something interesting I found. So Denzel Washington originally was awarded the Presidential Medal of Freedom in 22, but he didn't accept it because he came down with the COVID virus. He couldn't go get it. So he was awarded it previously in 2022. Another interesting fact, Bill Belichick was awarded the Presidential Medal of Freedom by President Donald Trump when he was in his first administration. But he initially accepted it, but changed his mind after the January 6th Capitol attack.
Oh, okay.
I did hear about
that. And then Dolly Parton turned down the medal twice from Donald Trump. She turned it down the first time because her husband was ill, and the second time because of the COVID-19 pandemic. So anyway, I'm looking at some of these folks who got the Presidential Medal of Freedom. Martin Luther King is on here. Obviously, President Kennedy, John F. Kennedy was on here. Some interesting folks. And so I don't know. It's like, I wonder, do y'all think some of it is political? Because I don't know if is all these folks got it near the end of the term of a president or, anyway, what do y'all think?
I think there's some political nature behind it, political benefits behind it, but I don't think that's all it is. But I think there's definitely motivation for some politicalcy behind it. Definitely.
I mean, Elvis Presley,
Trump,
Rush Limbaugh.
First of all, what's up, Charles Davis? Don't come in here with none of that smoke that you was talking about yesterday.
What did
Roger Staubach
say? He said Trump gave it to a bunch of athletes.
Yeah, Roger Staubach, Bob Cousy, Babe Ruth. Like to me, you know what? Just ride with me real quick. You know how they say, like, I tell people, like, I'm kind of use this comparison to military.
That's written 1206.
Because like some people, good point, Chris. What's up? Eagles fan in the house.
When you said ride with me, I thought about Big Drake.
Oh, my bad. Just walk with me, ride with me. A lot of times,
be cool.
And Jess, I'm sure you've seen this too, and maybe you should, Pete. It's like when you get a lot of decorations, and people will try to give decorations to people, and I tell people all the time, like, I know there's nothing in a regulation that says how many medals you can give out, but the more you give out, the more the luster you lose. So it's like my bad. It's like coins. You don't give everybody a coin. You get a coin, because you be like, hey, look, I'm so honored. I got a coin by this Comanche. I got one too. I got one too. So it's almost the same with this Presidential Medal of Freedom. It's like you give out so many, like Mariano Rivera. I'm not a baseball fan. I know he's pretty famous, but like, bruh, you look at Martin Luther King got the award before. You know what I mean? Willie Mays, like Meryl Streep. Like, what's the you know?
What did Jane Fonda get it? Because she should have.
Jane, I'm not sure. I had to look that up.
Yeah, let's see if she
I
got
don't
it.
know. Bob,
that's
Dylan.
crazy. That, you know, like
Angela Merkel, the Chancellor of Germany, got one. Makes perfect sense.
Makes
perfect sense.
I think he did too.
Nelson
Mandela.
Sidney Poitier. I don't know. I have to look that one up.
Poitier got one.
Yeah, Sidney Poitier.
Charles Davis says, I mean, does the medal get you to the front line? Who cares unless I get up front? I mean, that's a good point, kind of. I mean, it's a good gesture. It almost feels like, no, it's not like the National Defense Medal. I'm trying to think like a good analogy behind it. It's just like somebody recognizing you, but I think there is some politicalness behind it. I think there's some kind of fame status behind it.
You know, I laugh like if I get up there and I'm Nelson Mandela and I'm getting a Presidential Medal of Freedom, and then I look to my right and I see like, so, you ever do that? You get an award and you like, yeah, and you look to your right and like, bro, how did you get here? Like, who's this guy? You know what I'm saying? Estee Lauder. I'm you know what I mean? You look at you like Tommy Franks. He was the commander of the United States Central Command, right? Makes sense, right? But you look to your left, you be like, Estee Lauder? What did you get this
Gatlin
for?
said it's a pretty LOA.
Yeah, for real.
I mean, Bill Cosby got it. I love Bill Cosby. I know what he did. I mean, I still like his TV show. But he got it.
I hope you don't like that Jello no more.
I'm just being
What
honest.
was it? Pudding?
Now, some of you guys are foul. Because I remember a show we were doing. Some of y'all still listen to R. Kelly, so don't even trip.
I still listen
Look,
to
didn't we talk about some things that are going to be left in 2024? It is 2025, and it is the first Sunday, which means some people should be getting communion today. We will not. No.
Might need to get out of jail free. You crazy for that.
Oh man.
But
hey, at least P. Diddy didn't get one.
Oh my God.
Who?
At least P. Diddy didn't get one.
Yo, you know what? And don't judge right now because I go between Netflix and Tubi. Like Tubi, oh my God. Why Tubi wasted no time to create a thriller movie about Diddy? It's like and it is crazy. I'm gonna go back and find the topic, but like he was in there dancing while he was killing people. I was like, what is this? But it's loosely based off of Diddy.
You know what? There was another good movie that they said is like the Diddy scandal. I forgot who played in it. I watched it. Actually, it wasn't a good movie, but I forgot. It was a Netflix movie that just came out. But you know, I'm looking at the Medal of Freedom. It actually looks pretty nice. Nice little medal. Looks like, you know, like any other medal, I guess.
I'm just curious. Have any of you guys were deployed like places like Iraq and Afghanistan, took some mortar fire, some rocket fire, and you didn't get a Bronze Star, but you look at some other folks, you're like, how the hell did he get a Bronze Star?
Don't get me started on that. Oh, don't get me started on that.
Like, why does it seem like every officer I've met has a Bronze Star? Is that
Jess,
like
you
a
got a Bronze
prerequisite?
Star? I'm looking at your face.
Who?
You.
Baby, I ain't got no Bronze Star.
Oh, So there's a bunch of people. Look, Charles Davis. Charles, stop
Just
it.
last night. So the name of that movie is African American Psycho, the hip hop freak. Like I couldn't help. I turned it on and I was like, I sure did. And I only watched I watched 25 minutes of it and I got 33 minutes left. I was like, I can't look at it no more. I was like, oh my God.
Hey.
Oh my God.
But there's somebody I know who I work with. I hope he's listening too. He has a Bronze Star. And he was I think he was out there with us in Balad at the same time. Because they got mortar attacked. And so he got I was like, we were getting mortar attacked every day, the same mortars. Matter of fact, we had to go find them.
Yep. Rockets.
We responded.
The poo.
Right.
Everything.
We responded when the mortar went through the dang hooch. And we had to go pull bodies out. We still didn't get nothing. Because you know what? I think for some career fields, they'd be like, this is just your job. Other career fields are like, you ain't supposed to be around this stuff. So all of a sudden you're around it. It's like, oh, we need to make sure that, and I guess it all depends who's in the seat. And a lot of
I was about to say, you forgot about that era. Like you had a lot of people that looked at the criteria and they felt if their people were worthy, they submitted them for it. You did have that. So I just think it was the philosophies or perspectives on how they viewed that criteria. Because I remember one time it was in the news where I guess a lot of finance airmen or troops had got it. And then like people was up in arms. I'm just like, they leadership saw the criteria, submitted them, like leave them alone.
And a lot of mother effer haters that we have in our career field, mostly chiefs, but they were like, well, I don't have one, so why would you get one? Or I'm not getting one, so you ain't getting one.
Well, say specific chiefs, because it ain't all chiefs.
No, I didn't say all.
Some chiefs. You did say chiefs in our career field.
Some.
Unless you're talking about services.
Don't do that. He talking about y'all.
I mean, so hold on. So he is right. Anthony is right. When I was downrange and when I went to look at Bronze Star medals, especially those folks that were involved in the attack when they were at Ali Air Base, when the Iranians sent those ballistic missiles over there after we killed the one individual from Iran. I can never pronounce his name. He was the general, famous general of Iran. So when they struck that base with all those ballistic missiles, there were folks putting in Bronze Star medals because they were picking up people in helicopters and taking them out, and they just missed the ballistic missile strike. But a lot of them got Bronze Stars, but some didn't. And the biggest issue was the criteria, because it said, because Bronze Star medal is nothing more than an MSM, but it's a slightly above an MSM. It's about being involved in some type of direct fire attack, something to that similar effect. It's been a while, but there were folks getting them, and they weren't actually around the missile strike, but they were retrograding out and they were in danger of getting hit by missiles. And then there were some people who were on the ground who were there when the missile was striking the base, but they didn't get one. It just depends on who's looking at the packages and how well.
And that's what Gina just said too in her comment.
Yeah.
I didn't know MSMs wasn't a thing, but anyway, I didn't get one either. So it is what it is.
Baby, that DD-214 gonna be okay.
Exactly. I'm not worried about it.
Don't even get me started on combat action medals either.
Oh Lord, that's another
Don't
one.
Don't even get me started on that. But anyway, that's another story for another day.
Jess, you want to talk about the woman that went viral for her topics about the military or why she came in?
I found it because it was an article that I was reading. Let me see.
I haven't brought
Thanks
up.
for sharing.
You got it?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So it was leaked on December 26th. So the synopsis is a U.S. military woman claims she joined the armed forces for benefits like the VA home loan and GI Bill, not out of being a patriot. This statement sparked debate on social media about the motivations for military service. Some agreed that may join for practical reasons, while others felt service should be driven by their level of patriotism. But at the same time, like when we were talking offline, I just think no one truly understands what it means to be a patriot of their country when you first get in. I think it takes time to understand, like, man, I signed up to give my life to what? Because we get involved in this sterile environment and then we learn. But I'm just like, that is her motivation. But you got to look at how long has she been in? Did those motivations or drives change? Because I'll be honest, it was family. Like, I saw my family in the military. And yes, the benefits were the perks. And I even enjoy the perks now. But even being around my cadets and talking to their parents, like, I'm very particular on bringing up, like, what the military is. Like, I still have my very first LES, and I tell them all the time, baby, believe me, it was not the money, because that little LES was like $300 some on the 1st and the 15th. So I was like, please understand, this is a way of life. And I always say, especially here in Georgia, in the metro area, would you prefer to live a life where you're getting skills and experience while also trying to get your degree? Because who is going to pay you for that? But you will learn, like, hey, a way of life that helps you embrace the love for your country. Because yes, that's the hardest part, is trying to get people to understand, like, yeah, all those are great perks, but it's like, it's the bonds that you build with people who are not your blood. When you build those bonds with those people, when you go out deployed, TDY, it is all about the experience. So for people to spark a debate, it bothers me, especially when people that have never served got an opinion about the military. And even now, looking at the cabinet picks that are coming in, I think it's one male in particular who was, he was selected by President-elect Trump to come in and lead, I want to say, the Department of Defense, but he has a problem with females serving. And I'm just like, baby, are you going to reinstitute the draft to allow men to come in? And that is always a debate. You know, can women do what men do? I'm not saying I'm going to come in here and do what you do, but my ability to serve and do what other folks won't do will not marginalize the efforts that I do bring to the table.
I'm about to say, I'll turn over my time to Pete.
No,
Pete, that is not for you. But I'm just saying, like, you got a lot of us, like, even so, like, I tell my people, because they be like, you know, were you proud to be a Black woman serving? I said, baby, depending on the day, because when I first came in, I used to say decline to respond to that. But what I'm trying to get you to understand is, you got some of us who grew up in households before we joined the military that were about that life. Like, excuse my language, but we got our ass whooped for everything. When people talking about being on time management was never an issue for me. But like, when you're telling me the freedom of expression, and that's why at my retirement ceremony, my very first command was like, yo, she used to wear them crazy nails, that hair. But all you had to do was talk to me. And then I got myself together. But now telling you, coming in 2025 talking about you don't want no women serving, baby, where you think you're gonna get these people to serve? Because they not rocking with us like they used to. I don't care how much money you out here passing out. People want to feel valued while they are voluntarily giving their life. But when you don't value me because of my gender, you think I'm not supposed to be here. Where you think these men coming from?
Right.
You're gonna open up the prisons and allow them to come in?
Yeah.
I mean, let's be realistic.
Right.
Like, I have a student right now who talks about this. He was like, Chief, we about to have a convicted felon as a president. I said, yes, sir. He said, you know what I thought about? He said, what about them people that's in prison or jail for drug charges? He was like, they gonna be exonerated? I said, you know what? You bring up a good point.
I mean, he does. Or they
so
do,
it's it's so much. So reasonings behind joining the military, I would say this is wrong to think. But it's like, would you allow a modern day slavery of, like, and believe me, I grew up, my parents and my grandparents were steel workers. But when you think about workhouse workers, when you think about all the laborers, in my mind, that's a different form of modern day slavery, because those are jobs that need to be filled. But sometimes you need people to be exposed to something different. And guess what? That military may be something different for them.
Right. I agree with you. And, you know, even working at FTech, like, I think the ideal about patriotism is kind of lost in our younger generation. Because you got to remember, people weren't even born when 9/11 happened. That was the major attack, you know, against the U.S. And people weren't even born there that's joined the military now. So the ideal or the ideology of patriotism back in 2000s or early 90s is just different. I'm not gonna say it's lost, it's just different. And if somebody wants to join for benefits, to travel, to get away from home, to education, whatever the heck it is that the military provides, I'm all for it. As long as you're doing your job, you're doing it well, and getting the benefits that you want, do your thing. I don't care what your motivation is, as long as you're doing it. I don't need to hear about it. I don't need to hear red, white, and blue. You got the United States flag tattooed all over your body and it's all in your dorm room. I don't care about all that. Just tell me what you were here for, so I know what motivates you as a supervisor, and we can work around that. That's really all I have to say. It shouldn't be about one thing why you join somewhere. I mean, most people join jobs for specific things. Mostly it's for a paycheck to feed their family or whatever. They don't have any care about working for McDonald's, Google, whatever these corporations are they work for. So it's really the same thing. DC, got anything to add?
Yeah, I think this story, I don't even know why it's a big story anyway. I mean, it's been like this for decades. People join the military, maybe with the exception of after or during World War II. I think after World War II, I think most people join the military for the promise of a better way of life and benefits. And I see nothing wrong with that. I mean, because you look, it's a volunteer force. Not many people join strictly for love of country or patriotism. I see nothing wrong with that. The only thing I ask is if you join the military for benefits, whether it be education or just better way of life, you need to conform to the military. That's all I ask. Like in the end, you want something, you want better benefits, you want a better way of life. We want something. We want you to come in and be able to join our team. Let's meet in the middle. And I love your point as far as a supervisor, being able to talk to your subordinates and be like, why did you join? Well, I joined to get away from the police. Okay, no problem. We're going to get you away from the police. In the meantime, you got to be able to do blah, 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 blah. I joined because of education. Cool, we're going to get you education. I remember my supervisor told me, you want education? You need to pass your QC first. Then I'll sign your tuition assistance form. Then you can go to school. I think there's nothing wrong with that. My only issue is for folks who join who feel like the military needs to conform to them. Now, I do agree in some cases, especially now, you should not have to give up what you believe in. You should not give up or feel like you have to give up how like different values you have, depending on what those values are. But in the end, if the military says, in order to join us, you got to be able to march. And or else you're gonna march. Simple as that. Just a lighter way of an example. I think folks who have never joined in the military that scoff at this and say, I feel a little uncomfortable that we have people in the military who join because of their own self motivations. Bruh, are you serious? Like, are you in? That's what I would ask. Are you in the military? Because last I checked, there's only 1% of the military of the population of the United States that are in the military. Somebody's got to do it. In order to have the freedoms that we have now, you need people in uniform. The question I would like to see be put on social media that's all over the place is why we don't get paid more. That's what we should be asking. Like if we talking about like patriotism and all that, you got people that join for the promise of better benefits or way of life. But look at all the stuff they got to go through between the many PCSs, deployments. Some people lose marriages, they lose loved ones. And let's talk about how much they get paid. We got the world's greatest military. We had these billion-dollar weapon systems. But look at the pay. Thank you, though. They're, Junior Lister getting paid more this year. Kudos to them. What about the rest of us?
Not even that. I was thinking about the disruption of military families. So that's what I did my capstone on for my doctorate. I did enhancing military child care through support and stability. And one of the things, like just trying to convey over to civilians, is that we're not like a regular work environment, And the thing that truly still bothers me is when families are uprooting during the holiday season, especially if it's going to be a major financial impact. Like from you to go from a stateside to overseas, that is a major financial impact to that family. So it's like, when are we going to look at things from that view? Like, yep, I get the whole money and stuff, but there should be no PCSing in my mind around like major holidays. So between November and December, nobody should be moving. Right. November, December, and January. I'm just sorry, because that allows for so much disruption and then stress for that military family. Another thing, like you said, DC, is dealing with the people that have never served. And it does, I'm like, for us in America, sometimes, especially being in the school system, I'm like, you know what is 1 year? Like, having kids after they graduate high school go in 1 year, because you have some of these kids who don't come from structure. And I'm seeing it as a teacher, you can offer them structure, but it's rinse and repeat. By the time they come back to you the next day, you're doing it all over again. And you're right. It's the family model is not always there. And like I tell people, you don't have to grow up in a 2-parent household to have that structure necessary to be effective, like to be a productive person. But are we having the right structures in place for our next generation? And I'm gonna be honest, from my perspective right now, no. We enable them so much to where they are scared to make decisions for themselves. And that's one thing the military can offer them: experience, structure, and critical thinking. Mm-hmm. Nobody thinks. And I have to catch my own kids, be like, don't be speaking to me in that little broken, because I don't know what that means. Send me a real word. Like, don't send me no acronym, no abbreviation.
Nah. Excuse me.
Let me add something else too, if you don't mind. So I think, as in being in this institution, we should be proud of the fact that we're able to offer these things to civilians to entice them to come in the military. And let's be honest, even with all that, it's still difficult to get some people to join the military, because some people just are not cut out for this way of life, of being able to have people tell them what to do, where to go, and things of that nature. People love their freedom. But then I tell civilians or people who may look down on the military and not want to join, the reason why you get to be able to make this choice is because of people wearing a uniform each and every day. Mm-hmm. I mean, you look at these other countries, you have to join the military, to Jess's point, for a year, maybe 2 years of conscription, and then you can go do something else. So just being able to have that ability to make that choice is thanks to folks in uniform. And to the folks that's not in uniform too, that look down on military folks who get VA benefits and say, oh, well, they don't deserve VA benefits. Last I checked, you could have went down to the dang MEPS office too and joined, and you don't know the type of service that folks go to for 20 years or 30 years, and their bodies get broken. And not only that, we talked earlier about PTSD, those types of things. I think military members all deserve benefits, in my opinion. I'm not even a fan of having to fight for the benefits. I think we should automatically get them. Mm-hmm. Furthermore, I think military members, there should be no military member that's homeless. There should be some program put in place where no military member should be homeless, whether they get an apartment or whatever. Last I checked, I mean, I don't know how true this is. There may be some folks who come into the country and as immigrants, and they get maybe a certain monetary compensation to get started, to get themselves going. Why don't military people get that? Whether you stayed in 2, 3, 4 years, if you serve honorably, mind you, if you serve honorably, there should be a way, especially if you served honorably and you have some medical issues, there should be a way to set you up to make sure you have some type of housing somewhere. That's why I think we should be talking about, man.
Okay.
You know what? I'm with DC, and that's one of the reasons why I'm still deeply connected to Alabama, because I'm working on that, DC. When you talk about the veterans homelessness, so in Alabama, outside of Maxwell Air Force Base downtown, they tore down the Salvation Army. So that used to be a centralized spot where all our homeless used to go, and guess what? They built a loosely whitewater rafting park there. So when you go back, it's like, man, where do they go? Where are we doing to take care of these people? But I have been looking at I'll say like apartment areas where they need to be revamped and offering housing. But it's so many things out there, like you said, learning how to write those grants, requesting money because it's available. You just need the people to actually do it. And when you walk in and talk to some of these banks, especially because you want to acquire like commercial property, they're like, well, what is the motivation behind it? Because I'm a vet. Like, that could be me. But when I look at vets who are Vietnam veterans, Gulf War, Desert Storm, they still do not have the right access to VA because it wasn't as heavy as it is now. So even my colleagues at work, we be sitting down at the school end because I'm trying to help them get their stuff together for VA. Like it's some of them, they got 20% when it needs to be more. Some of them got 70. And the goal is to make sure whatever elements you have, but the common theme with all of them, I was just doing my job. I didn't think about it back then, but it's like now is the time to think about it now. And yes, I used to get so frustrated with some people who served a year. And yes, you're going through you served a year in the military and now you're bragging about having 100%. Do you, boo? But at the same time, there are people that truly needed it. And I'm not saying that you don't need it, but it's like that was the only thing you were jockeying for 1 year. Come on now.
Yeah.
Like, and that now I understand the difference, that line of being medically separated versus medically retired. And that brings up a big, another can of worms that we don't have time for today, but it's just making sure the right people have the right accesses to everything. And I'm like, we as veterans, especially because we've been there, did the military, now is our opportunity to truly be a facilitator of resources. Like if you're in a position to help somebody, help it. Because guess what? It's going to come back to you in a different fold. But a lot of our people still need help outside of the military.
Right. I agree. Anthony, you said you can't agree with that part,
Yeah,
but
I'm
understand
curious.
your point.
Yeah.
What part were you talking about? Just so I would like some clarification.
Yeah.
Anthony, he know we just be talking.
Hey, Charles, you said that extra 12-month GI Bill benefit is clutch. Which one are you talking about? Like when you get out,
Sir, you don't have the VA benefits email. They just sent out an email. Well, they sent me out an email, but they also made a web an announcement. Let me read it for you, sir. So the VA expands access to GI Bill benefits for veterans who serve multiple periods of service. And you can go to va.gov in the news, and it is from the press room as of January 3rd, 10:30 in the morning. So it said the following 2024 Supreme Court decision has updated the process for awarding GI Bill benefits. This change means that any veterans who serve multiple periods of military service, for example, veterans who re-enlisted, will be eligible for up to an additional 12 months of education benefits. So under the previous policy, eligible veterans who had served at least 2 periods of service were limited to a max of 36 months of GI Bill between the GI Bill and the post 9/11. Under the updated policy, the limitation is removed, meaning veterans can now qualify up to 48 months of total GI Bill benefits.
Bruh, that's great news. So we still in school. That's great news.
Yeah.
Or for people that probably transferred their 9/11 over, now they get 12 months for themselves.
Oh, okay. That's really nice.
Yeah, I'm curious to see what Anthony didn't agree about. But let me ask y'all a question. Right? Just hear me out.
Charles.
Just hear me out. So when we say, can we agree that the percentage of population in our country that served in uniform is 1%? Can we agree to that?
It's less than 1. It's like almost half, 0.05, I think it is. But anyway.
Okay. So we can agree on that. So using the thought process of there are folks who, all right, put it like this. There are certain jobs that are so critical, or you need certain qualifications to be able to serve. They get paid based off of that. Can we agree to that?
Or something like that?
Like being a doctor, a lawyer, or whatever, right?
Civilian.
The importance of it, right? Right. And so if the military, not all, but there's some folks believe the military is not difficult, but there's only less than 1% who serve in uniform. and it is a institution that's been around since the country has been created.
Mm-hmm.
Do y'all think that based off of that, we should be paid, don't know how much, but more based on the fact it is a job that most people would not want to do?
Okay, couple things to unpack. One, let me see. People are lazy, and we serve with a lot of scammers and lazy people. I mean, damn.
I
Okay.
can agree with Anthony.
DC, to your point, I get what you're saying. I do. And I do believe it's harder to be in the military than go to college. It's harder to get in the military than to get into like a 4-year college. So there are a lot of things that people are automatically disqualified for, right? Like if you have one arm, you can't come in the military. Different, if you have different color vision problems, there's different career fields you can't get into in the military. So yes, I agree, it's harder. Paid more, you would have to give me a price. Because if you're saying like,
I don't know the price.
yeah, if you're saying like
let me ask you
more.
Well, let me say this, right? An airman basic, starting off at the lower level, right? I know, to Jeff's point, I know they're getting paid a lot more than we were getting paid as an airman basic. Obviously, inflation, time, things of that nature, right? But does an airman basic make more than a manager at McDonald's?
No.
Does
Go
an
back.
airman basic?
His he said if you pay us more than teachers,
Should be the same, because without them there wouldn't be no us.
I'm not disputing that teachers are important, and that's a topic for another day. But let me ask you this. If folks did not join the military, what would the country do? They'll probably do a draft, right?
Mm-hmm.
Conscription, right? But because they don't, we have people that join, which partly I would argue is based off that last article, the benefits and the perks that come with being in the military. And I think that offsets some of the money they could pay us more to, to give us. Like case in point, the airman basic, again, probably does not make as much as a manager at McDonald's, but they get free housing, they get a stipend for food, and free medical care. But then we say, like, hey, we need more money. Like airmen will say, we don't have enough money to take care of our family. But I think the folks that come up with this price that, okay, this is how much we're going to pay a military member at E1. Well, this will be offset by medical care. This will be offset by free housing and BAS. But we still say they deserve to be paid more. So then that goes back to my question. Based off, there's less than 1% of the folks in our country who are willing to join. Should that be a reason or basis as to why we should get paid more?
Just I'll let you go, but I really need to know what that more is. Airman Basics should definitely get paid more than a Buc-ee's employee, right? I think we're
a Buc-ee's manager.
No, they shoot. There's some
he just
NASCARs
said
that don't get paid more than a Buc-ee's manager. Shit, there might be some Chiefs that don't get paid more than a Buc-ee's manager.
No, I get paid
you
more.
do the computing.
No, yeah, go ahead, Jess. I'm sorry. You're right. Jess is right. Go ahead.
So now is the time to go check your DFAS My Pay anyway, but you're able to see that military service computation statement that shows like how much your annual salary is, because I kind of use that as a gauge to negotiate where I am now. But I think it's very important. So I agree with both. I like the collaboration piece of you and Anthony DC. I think the key word, though, to be descriptive is that some like that is the piece that we need to insert here, is that some people do come in just for those benefits, and some people come in because they do want a better way of life, or they just weren't ready for college. But again, kind of like what P said, what does that more look like? One thing I can agree with, and I'm glad they have the warrant officers now, because that can allow them to keep that technical expertise that we do need. Because you do have a lot of people who are really good at their job, and they don't want to leave. They don't want to do nothing else. They just want to do their job. Now, as far as the airman basic, this is what I'm going to struggle with. Maybe because I was in the squadron 3 times. But when you go from the airman basic to senior airman, hell, I still had issues with my senior airmen trying to fight because they wanted to be staff sergeants. So why do you deserve a pay increase when you can't even? I'm trying to get you to lead yourself in order for you to lead other people at that tier. For me, the pay increases will be more so like for my NCOs, because I want my NCOs to stay and lead those airmen to continuously bring them up. The airmen, like, what blows my mind, and again, we're focusing so much on the rank that we're missing the age too that comes with people that join. We're not in this era where a lot of people join directly out of high school. You got people who coming in well over being overqualified to serve as an airman. Like, I know young ladies that are PAs because they didn't understand what they were doing. And I want to say this young lady is at Maxwell working in contracting, but she has a whole medical background. So it's like, and she has good leadership, trying to harness that and get her through the OTS. But it's like, all she wanted was to join, to take care of her family. So the pay increase, again, I want to match, the old school term, skills, knowledge, and abilities to that pay increase as well. Because I'm just not comfortable right now, especially based off of the last group of airmen that, I served as the SEL for. They don't have what our old people had. And what I mean by that, everything is constantly challenged. Even like if I'm telling you like, hey, PT is going to be at 6:30. If the daycare opens at 6:30, I at least need you to be in the parking lot. So when the door opens, you can go in and it'll allow you to be 15 minutes late to PT. That wasn't even good enough. Well, Chief, I'm not like you, babe. I know you're not like me. Because Jamiria, Timor, they was right there at PT with me in that stroller. Here go your bottle. Let's go push. Right. So I said, you're messing with a different breed. So do not compare me when I'm trying to give you options as a leader. Because if you really want to roll like player, bring that baby to PT with us. Absolutely. So you won't be late.
Absolutely.
But those are the options.
That's why I think, like, DC, I hear you. I agree that they should be paid more. I just need to know what that more looks like. Like, should they be getting $100,000 a year? Is that too much?
No, that's too much. I guess.
So what is the basic what is the base salary for Airman Basic right now?
I'm gonna look it up.
Oh, okay. You got it.
I'm gonna look it up.
So Charles Davis, while you're looking that up, how do we make up the gap between enlisted and officers? We now
don't get started on
degrees
that
and advanced degrees.
Lord.
I mean, that one should have already been there. I'm gonna be realistic. That gap, because you know what? I hate to say this. Getting a degree, you can have a fool get a degree, but the degree just signifies that you were dedicated to a process. Mm-hmm. It's the information that you get from that degree, the curriculum. Like, are you able to apply and practice what you actually learned? What allows me to say, yes, you should be paid for that advancement. Because I have worked for some officers that I'm just like, baby, that humanities degree, I'm gonna need you to go in the corner with it, because obviously you're not applying anything that is noteworthy to your leadership ability. Whereas you get enlisted people who are thriving to get degrees that are helpful within their AFSC. Because remember, we were told that for a while, you got to get education that's related to your job. So you got a lot of people sitting in the forces that got degrees that enhances their ability to do their job. Mm-hmm. But how can you prove that you are practicing what you earned that advanced degree in? I think that would be the biggest thing for that pay gap, Charles or Chuck.
I think, DC, did you look that up before? I want to hit on Charles.
2000 for less than 2 years, $2,017.20
a month.
A month. Yep.
So with taxes, 33%.
That's not including BAS or BAH. Oh. Just two. Yep. No special benefits.
So you're looking at like $800 a month or a paycheck, maybe roughly. Somewhere around there with the BAS, BH. So it's about $800-900 depending on your location, and then if you're in the dorms or not, a lot of that's going to depend on that. So I'll say between $400 a paycheck to $700 a paycheck somewhere. After taxes.
But to Justice's point, a lieutenant less than 2 years makes $3,800 a month.
Dang, so that's a big difference. Yeah, that's like $1,100
for a degree
paycheck.
From a degree.
So I will say, and Charles, to your point, I don't think the times of the pay period, the pay chart has caught up to the times that we're in America. And the way I say that is because online schooling has ruined degrees or why people get degrees. Because back when I came up, if you went to college and got a 4-year degree, you went to college and got your 4-year degree. Now with online schools, I mean, there's so many cheating apps, cheating this, cheating that, ways to get around it, that it has ruined the purpose or the prestige of having a degree. Because now it's like, if I tell you I got a degree through Harvard, it's still looked at like, oh my gosh, you must be a lawyer, a doctor, or a really big engineer or something like that. When I say I got a degree from AMU or APUS, you're looking like, oh, you just went to class. So I think not only has America messed up the degrees, but we have also messed it up. So I don't think the pay chart has caught up to that yet. They're still going off the times of when people actually went to class, went to school, professors sitting there and actually grading papers and not just letting them go. Now, doctorate degrees, different. Some master's programs, different. But usually the associate's, bachelor's programs, whatever.
P, you about to make
Oh,
me.
Jess, please jump in, Jess. Please.
You about to make me
I'm about to
pluck
roast
all my damn eyelashes
Yeah,
off.
I'm about to
P.
roast this dude.
So let me just bring it back down for the degrees.
Okay.
Thank you.
I think, especially working in military academic for so long, I truly believe like degrees, regardless if you get it in a mortar building or online, the thing that matters to me the most, and I hope other people consider this, is the accreditation piece. So the accreditation piece is very important because it's certain requirements that your school has to meet in order for these. So that number one. Now, when you think about name and prestige, yes, that's one thing. I've even been told like I ended up going to a brick and mortar for my master's, but that was a PWI. I'm just like, why does that matter? Depending on where you are, where you live, some private sectors care about where you get your degrees from.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, for the life of me, Pete, online school is the same as a brick and mortar. And the reason why I say that is because the only thing that separates them is the level of accreditation that they have. These schools understand that we are not in the old days. And in order to maintain my enrollment numbers,
Right.
I need to make sure that I have different avenues to beat out my competition. And that's how you have to look at these colleges. Like a lot of people, for military, for example, who has catered to us? Ashford, who is now under a different name. Now you got AMU, who has catered to us. Central Texas College catered to us. UMUC is so many colleges that have catered to us because they understand how agility works, for lack of better terms. Like even the one where so many military members are currently at, I want to say Columbia Southern.
Mm-hmm.
That's where retired Dr. Chief retired Michael Perry is. Mm-hmm. So when you look at those type of schools, no, I think they've just learned how to meet high academic demands by the people that they want to come to their school. It's a marketing tool, but it does not degrade or water down your degree.
I won't say for me personally it does, but I will say that that is the mindset of certain people, but I could be wrong. I
think it is the mindset depending on, now that may be their personal perspective on it.
Right.
But when you look at like the majority of, for example, those doctoral programs, all of those are online.
Right.
The majority of those are online unless like you're getting a specialized emphasis that requires you to do in residence. The majority of them are online. But when you look at the degree, I still think it has nothing to do with the location. I think it has something to do with the accreditation.
But
that a lot of people.
Your school can lose the accreditation at any time. Like AMU has lost their accreditation like 4 or 5 times. And then
Harvard loses theirs too.
Right. So I think schools can lose their accreditation anytime. So, I mean, when I went to AMU, it was accredited. And that's saying 5 years from now, it won't be accredited. And now I turn this degree, somebody's going to look at it like, that's not even accredited college. Well, when I went to it, it was accredited. I can't do nothing about it.
I'm telling you from experience working with the school, dumb people, they be like, just send your transcript.
Yeah, that's
As long
true.
as that transcript is conferred, that's all they care about. They don't care about who taught you, when they taught you. You have a transcript that is conferred.
Amen.
All right, let me speak on this. Let me speak on this.
Tap in, DC.
Bruh, like, come on, man. Like, no, I will put it like this. First, I agree with your your assessment is there are some folks out there that kind of judge folks whether you went online to a brick and mortar. Just like there's some folks judge which university you got your degree in. But one, I think that should have nothing to do with a person receiving a degree. Or going back to your point as far as like you were saying AI tools and stuff. AI tools are there for a reason. That's why the military adopted using a form of Nipper GPT. To me, the most important thing is the journey of you getting a degree. If you go brick and mortar, you're going to the school, you're sitting your butt in the chair, you're listening to an instructor. And then you go home and you do your homework. Whereas you're doing it online, you're doing the exact same thing, or you may not be listening to an instructor. You're getting your assignments, now you're doing it. Now, whether you use AI to help you find the resources for the paper or to help you craft it so it sounds a little bit better, that's called changing with the times and technology. In the end, how many people actually get a degree and actually apply everything they learned at their job? You have folks that have a degree, like you have some folks who are officers that have a degree in, say, what's a good example? Agriculture. And they're a missileer.
Right.
You have some people that got a degree in mathematics, but they work in Force Support Squadron. In the end, to Justin's point, I agree. When you get a degree, to me, it just shows that you know how to apply yourself in the discipline to accomplish something. Now, a lot of things you learn, you can apply, but come on, let's be honest. How many people, like when I got my psychology degree back in 2014, there are some elements that I use, but it's not like I go to work and say, I know why that guy's acting that way. Freud's theory. That's right. No one, how many people do that? Come on, man.
Mm-hmm.
So I think people need to get out the idea of, to me, there's no difference between an online degree or brick and mortar. To me, it's the same. Now, I will say your other point as far as it doesn't mean as much as before, I agree with that to a certain extent, but not by your assessment, based on the fact that today a lot of people had this idea that degrees are not necessary to be successful like they were back in the past. A lot of parents used to be like, you have to go to school in order to get a good job. That may not be as necessary today. I think most people, and I applaud folks that who go to college, university, and get a degree, because I think it makes you a better person. Because there's elements when you go to school that teaches you discipline, it teaches you different knowledge on different subject matter basis, and makes you a better overall person and a better critical thinker. But to say that degrees don't matter like they used to because of AI tools, come on, man. You deserve that one, bro.
Okay,
you benefit if you got an online degree. So what do you say? Yours don't mean anything?
This is the crazy part.
Look at me, Thomas White. It was another response as well.
He said pilots
put up there.
You have pilots with
exactly.
degree.
Exactly.
So I think people are misconstruing what I'm saying. First of all, let me address Thomas White. If some online degrees are not of value to you, what's the alternative? I'm not saying they're not. This is not my perspective. Like Philly said, I won't talk about my academic prowess or my academic achievements, whether they're online or whatever. I don't brag about myself or talk about myself with that aspect. But like Philly said, my degree is online, or degrees are online. They all are. So I understand. So it's not my values of online degree. It's not what I feel about it. I'm just saying what I have heard or what things have been thrown across. It's not my idea. So I don't want, when I'm saying things, I guess I should preface this by saying this is not Pete's idea. This is what I have heard. And then we can discuss it from there.
He said, do you agree though?
Yeah, do you agree though?
What part?
Because that's what it made it sound like.
Do I agree what?
Well, what you just said. You said it's not Pete's
Right.
opinion.
I
This
don't
is
agree.
what you
Hey,
heard, but do you agree?
if you get your degree from AMU, from Harvard, I think it, like you said, it's the same thing. I want to see that you started a program and ended a program. I don't care if you went through 12 years to do it or 1 year to do it. It doesn't matter to me. Or excuse me, 12 years and 7 different schools to get your degree done. As long as you finished it, I'm good with that. I don't care where you get your degree from. Like Jess said, I just want to see you start a program and finish a program. If I'm asking for an online degree, I think there's, or excuse me, a degree. I think there are certain jobs, especially in the civilian world, that need a degree in a specific area, like nurses or doctors or lawyers or stuff like that. You need to be specialized in that field. In the military, because I'm not sure how the Army does or the Navy, but it just doesn't seem to matter. And back to everybody else's point, a kinesiology degree but fly planes. Those two things don't match up to me. A mathematics degree, but do finances, or excuse me, FSS, those things don't match up to me. So we should be hopefully doing what we call in the enlisted world as talent management and setting these people up to work in the degrees that they have their specialty in. Or working jobs that they have the degrees in.
Yeah, I don't agree with that one. Yeah, I don't agree with that one.
You don't think so? If I go get my
just
degree,
because you have a degree in finance, don't mean you have to work in finance.
I don't say
just
have
because
to.
you have a degree, but you kind of alluded to, like you said, we should do talent management. So, in other words, if an individual has a degree in a specialty, case in point, kinesiology, and they become an aviator, you said that don't match.
No, I mean
that's what it sounds like.
The degree,
but why? Because in the end, it's the training. It's not necessarily the degree. It's the training you receive after you get a degree, which almost leads to the other point I was going to make. But I was going to say you have some airmen that come in with bachelor's degrees, along with second lieutenants. But airmen decide, like, okay, you have a lieutenant who makes this amount and an airman basic that makes this amount. If they both have undergrad degrees, it's a matter of the pathway you go. So then it gives me the impression, like, okay, an airman who has an undergrad but is an airman basic, the only reason why they don't make the same as a second lieutenant is because they decide not to go the officer route. But going back to your point, as far as a degree and becoming an aviator, it shouldn't matter the degree. Would it be helpful if someone had a degree in, I don't know, mathematics or something that's related to being an aviator? I see your point, but it shouldn't matter the degree, which job they put you in.
Okay, so I'm going to tap in real quick and put back on my PME hat. That's why the Air Force has Air Education and Training Command for a reason. When you think about training and education, for the life of me, people, like, after I learned, I was like, okay, I'm sold. But you got so many people who do not understand the difference between training and educating. Like, training is there to develop, like, those specific skills and competencies, whereas education allows you to broaden your horizon based off of various approaches and theories. So that's where we have to be mindful. The military affords you training for a certain thing. Like, they're trying to teach you how to develop a mastery of a certain skill set. Whereas education allows you to feed into that training that you acquired. So that's why you need to understand the difference. It wasn't until later years, and I'll say, when was it? Probably 2005? At that time frame is when we kind of started focusing on education so heavy, and then it just kind of took off, and it took off in a perspective of we tied it to promotion. Nobody really cared about education before that until it was tied to something. But we had just forgot about understanding that educating focuses on developing a broader knowledge, that critical thinking, and then understanding. But we just have to separate the two. And the degrees they fall under educating, not training.
But I do think, to answer the questions straight up, I do think enlisted with degrees should be getting paid more than enlisted without degrees. Do I think they should match O1 or OE pay or excuse me, O1 pay for E1?
No.
Probably not. But I do think they should be more than almost at a regular E1. An E1 without a degree, then an E1 with it. God dog. Then an E1 with a degree should have two different pay charts, pay scales. But I just don't know what that difference would be. Maybe $500 or something like that a month. something like that.
Hey,
Teachers in
maybe
the
you can
chat.
do like we doing over here on the JROTC side. So in JROTC, if you go out and look under the instructor vacancies, they now have a new pay chart. So you're able to see enlisted with the type of degrees you got. So are you enlisted with an associate's, a bachelor's, a master's, or a doctorate? And then that is kind of like your base pay. You can't be paid less than that. So I think maybe if the military active duty develops something like that, it may be beneficial.
Right.
But it needed to be, because how would you even do that? It would probably have to be listed as a supplement
Correct.
that person is receiving, not necessarily a bonus. And then I would beg to say, how often would you give this to them?
Yeah. I mean, just two quick questions. So just a question to you, being in that world as far as ROTC, is it true, like case in point, you being the chief and having a doctorate, and you have a colonel 06 who's retired that has a master's degree, the colonel retired would still get paid slightly more than you, even
Correct.
though you right. So then I would ask you, you think that's fair? Because it gives the impression they're getting paid more because they are a retired 06 versus the degree. And then my other question would be, or maybe it's a comment, I think the key is like going back to what you said just about warrant officers. There are some folks who still want to stay in a technical aspect versus leadership aspect. So then there were some people that want to be enlisted versus being an officer, but they want to be recognized or paid extra for having that degree, because I would argue a degree still gives them a little bit more of a seasoning, I guess, for lack of a better way of saying it. So anyway, to you.
With the JROTC, I'll admit, like I fell into a pretty good position, because when you go out there and look at the vacancies, it'll say officer and enlisted. My place already had a retired tech sergeant. Therefore, they were willing to replace the officer with a chief. So they are able to do those. But I did do my internship with a major, and I could tell you, like, that for me, that wasn't a good experience. And I'll say, because the values are different. I don't, again, it is based off of your experiences, but for me, I was, a worker bee and then transitioned into a leader. So the kids, they thrived off of structure, like they wanted that. But where you have some people, like they take these positions and they're truly retired. Like, I hate to say it, they're working as a JROTC instructor, but they've been doing it so long that I think they have burnt themselves out, and they no longer consider it like adding value anymore to the kids. So that's the biggest thing. And it's like, for us that truly enjoy it, is it about the pay? Not necessarily. However, you do have the ability to negotiate based off of your skills. So in Georgia, and yes, I'm promoting Georgia as education because, they have the lottery. So when you think about teacher retirement systems, Alaska and Georgia are the top two when you talk about retirement systems. For my retirement, I put in 6% a pay period. Do you know they put in 14% a pay period for me? That is amazing. Secondly, when you look at your military time, they will give you a year of service equivalent to every 2 years that you have for military time. So for me, retiring at 21 years, I was able to come in with 11 years of service. But again, this is about educating, researching, and no, do they value, again, this is basically with the CFO, the chief financial officer at your school district. What do they value that you bring to the table, where you can use it as a negotiating skill or tactic to say, hey, I'm bringing these skills, abilities, and knowledge to your program. But as far as with the military caps you out with the officer and enlisted, that MIP, yes, that's what that person gets now. It's not based off of rank. It's based off of, okay, you are officer and you have this degree. That is what you're going to get for that location.
Good insight.
But yeah. But I think it would truly be hard. I would say, like, maybe for me, but because I love my coworker. Like, we Do we run it like an active duty unit loosely? Absolutely. Absolutely. Right. Because we're trying to teach them what structure and discipline looks like if they want to join the military. But I have seen and observed some where it just wasn't, maybe it's a personality clash or just the rank position, where you still have people that think like they're still in the military, where the officer and the enlisted can't get along. But I think it's so important to work with somebody that you do get along with, because it's going to impact the kids for sure.
Right. Interesting.
I think keep
now the other question. No,
go ahead.
Yeah, the other question, DC, you said it dealt with what now?
I think maybe more of a comment. I think you were talking about warrant officers, and I was kind of comparing it to the part with the degree for young airmen. As far as they may not want to be an officer, but we want to reward them or recognize them for having a degree, because I think it makes them a little bit better, a little bit more seasoned with a degree. I mean, we kind of push folks to get a CCAF degree, but you got airmen who coming in with bachelor's degree, which is funny. You know, I had some people that actually looked down on airmen that had a bachelor's degree, but not a CCAF degree. They're like, oh, you need to get your CCAF. They got a bachelor's degree. They have a bachelor's degree, you know. I was at a BTC board. They was like, oh, but they don't have a CCF degree. Bro, they got a master's degree. Oh, it's not a CCF degree. And they got it before they came in.
You know? And sometimes it takes time to convert or transfer your oh my goodness. It takes time to transfer your credits over.
Can you put up Charles Davis comment? I thought that was interesting. Yeah, it says, I feel we are a little behind the times, because 20 years ago, depending on how many credits you could come in with, 1 or 2 stripes. We're doing the same when we can better incentivize due to advances in the educational system. I agree. Oh, Russell Waite in the house. What's up there, Mr. Waite? Good to see you. Let's see. Russell Waite says, while I do agree that having a degree is beneficial to the individual and the unit, having experience in your respective field is more valuable to me. Having both is a definite win. Saying, coming from a retired officer himself, retired lieutenant colonel. Hopefully I got that right, sir. Interesting point.
Not sir. Just in case you got it wrong, you want to add the sir in there.
Don't start, Pete.
He a hater. He a hater. He a hater. No, I mean, that's a good point. I mean, because experience does matter. I think the perfect mix is experience and education or knowledge. Just a perfect bridge point. Because you do have, remember back in the day, probably still, you'll have some people who are all about education and they're going to get the degree, but they suck at their job.
Man.
So you do have folks like that. So I think, yeah. Oh, you got some scar tissue, it sounds like.
Man,
now, see, that's why I used to always bring up, and they were like, you just mad because you still wet behind the ears. I'm like, this ain't got nothing to do with wet behind the ears. Years do not equate to experience. Right. Experience is experience. And when you have an education to complement that experience, like he said, it's a definite win. Because it used to blow my mind when you got people, I ain't gonna call no names, but like when you're in these circles, you know, as chiefs and you're advising your officers and you don't know the difference between non-appropriated funds and appropriated funds, you are wet behind the ears because you're lacking somewhere. So those are the things that it used to blow my mind when people were like, oh, you know, no, time waits for no one. But what does not wait for you is making sure you can equip your boss as well as yourself with the right information.
Right. Like Denzel said, don't confuse progress and movement. They're 2 different things. But
all the time.
Yeah.
Shout out to Lieutenant Colonel Jason Christie out there at Travis Air Force Base. But we used to always say that. I used to be like, sir, it is progression over perfection. Like, did we make a little bit today? Like that's how we used to always end our day. What did we do good today before we move on to the next day?
Sometimes those are quick conversations. That's what we did good today. We made it out. We made it.
We made it.
We'll look forward to tomorrow. All right.
Oh, goodness.
Yeah, we'll cut the show today. Appreciate y'all for tuning in. Appreciate y'all for another episode of Unpopular Celebrities. We'll be back in a couple hours with some play-by-play for the Lions and Vikings game tonight. So y'all welcome to tune back in for that, for some color commentary and some fun and some exciting things to happen for the first half of the game for the Lions and Vikings. Philly, got anything to add before we go out?
Yeah, I'll just appreciate Jess, appreciate Pete for y'all being on, appreciate our viewers for watching Unpopular Celebrities for another week. Look forward to seeing you tonight. If not, we will see you on the next show. So appreciate it. Enjoy your Sunday.
Can you say that again? Because I don't like how you say appreciate Pete. Like you kind of said it like your voice
I
dropped.
appreciate Jess, Pete, and I look forward to seeing the rest of you lovely folks later on tonight. How's that?
Can you keep the same energy? It's like I appreciate Jess, I appreciate Pete.
I need to really go back and look at last night.
Look at the intro.
No,
look
Jess,
at the intro. When you give me an intro
okay.
when I'm not next to a body bag with water on it, like you pull me out the river, then maybe I'll be a little bit more kind.
Just go ahead, bring us home, please.
And speaking Fidel with no graduation pictures like this.
Happy.
Oh yeah. Well, happy first Sunday, y'all. This is the first Sunday of 2025. I pray that you all are still, on your fitness gym goals. I saw on the news that I guess it's an official date where everybody stops or quit. So please don't quit. Keep going. And we'll see y'all next time.
Definitely.
Pete, over to you, sir.
I ain't got nothing else. See y'all later on tonight. Holla at y'all. Appreciate everything. Jess, don't go nowhere.
I'm not.